Hey, lady, who, ha, I want to know. What's good? How y'all doing? What's poppin'? Welcome to the Thursday live stream, a little 5-game slate action. Let me tell you, if this is like a 10-game slate, you probably wouldn't be seeing my face in this Thursday live stream because this is the 5th piece of content. I think I'm going to go blind. We got 5 lights all around me doing all this shit right now. I think I might actually go blind by the end of the day, right? Had ended up putting an NBA video out that I didn't have planned this morning, and ended up putting the NFL with that one dude. Just prepped another NFL video for tomorrow, did another video for a client, and now we got this shit popping right now. And this is probably my favorite one of the day because the live stream is actually interactive. I like live streaming. I like hanging out with the community, the fellas, the 99.9% of you fellas. And there's probably one person in here based on those numbers, maybe 2, that's going to be a female, but check it out. Everybody's welcome, all inclusive. Hopefully you all are having a beautiful, beautiful Thursday afternoon, wherever you are right now. Night, if you're in somewhere other fucking place that's got some wild time zone. I appreciate you all in here right now. So what's up? As usual, which we haven't been doing these lives in a little while, a day or two now, right? Because some stuff happened yesterday that I just wasn't feeling up for it. I was pretty sad in some pretty deep grief yesterday. Still doing it, still not feeling too great, but you got to push forward. So appreciate you all in here right now. Appreciate all the feedback, support through the social media, some people reaching out. The Discord was very overwhelming. Patreon, a lot of support after some of the bad news that I got yesterday morning. Terrible news, honestly. Arguably worst news of my life, but it's not something that you can just push through right away. But honestly, I don't know if I'm throwing myself into work. I think I'm just doing work, right? If I just sit around and go on walks and stuff like that, think a little bit too much. So this is keeps the mind busy, keeps some sort of routine down. So I'll be traveling this weekend starting tomorrow morning. So no more live streams until next Monday. As of right now, it's tentative. I don't know if I'm going to be changing my flights. We're here right now, so we're here to answer your questions. We got 5 games to break down, and there's a shit ton of value, right? There's teams struck by COVID yet again, and now Houston at this point is just struck by guys being naturally hurt. One guy with COVID, I think, at this point, is what you're seeing. But then everybody else out there is just being traded, coming in from trades. So it's an interesting slate to be checking out. I appreciate you all a ton. Like, subscribe, do all those things. Want to let you know this video is indeed sponsored by Superdraft. If you want to support the channel and you have not already played on Superdraft, what are you doing? Not only do you support the channel, you increase the odds of you increasing your ROI, return on investment. So check it out down below. It's a multiplier format. Let's talk about some top Superdraft plays today. Why not? There's going to be a lot of value that's going to be standing out. And Christian Wood is the top Superdraft play. He's arguably the top DraftKings play today, depending on what that starting lineup looks like, especially if he starts at the 5. Would not be shocked if you saw like fucking DeMarcus Cousins starting at the point guard position. They're going to be playing positionless basketball out there. Sterling Brown probably makes the most sense at the point if you're trying to go for a traditional point guard. But would not be shocked to see some crazy shit happen in Houston today. Christian Wood being the top Superdraft play today by about 6 fantasy points. It is a multiplier format, so him having a 1.3x multiplier means that whatever Christian Wood's points are today, and you have nobody out there at all in Houston, no Harden, he's not on the team, no John Wall out there right now. You have Eric Gordon out. You have a bunch of other guys out, right? Victor Oladipo has not yet come into this team. Has to pass physical, has to pass a couple of COVID tests. You have Christian Wood's 1.3x multiplier, giving him 30% extra points, making him the top Superdraft play today. If you use the code SAL, my name SAL, what are you waiting for? If somebody in the chat right now wants to talk about just their experiences with Superdraft, any winnings, a lot of people have been reaching out to me on Patreon, on Twitter. It's been basically since we partnered up with them right before the pandemic, people enjoying the different type of format and still having a decent size edge in there and just playing optimally. You can let people know in the chat. My name's Sal, SAL, get you a free money bonus up to $1,000. They transitioned that bonus from like a full 50% match to now for the last couple of months a slow drip format, so you get it back as you play basically. So let's answer your questions. My man Evan's in here. What's up, man? My man Artful Dodger's in here. How y'all doing? He says, Sal, fellas, who's your favorite play of the day? So favorite play of the day is always a nuanced thing, right? I think the guy that probably gets there the most and beats the chalk the most is Christian Wood today because he's on a team that's got 9 guys active, but I think maybe only 8 of them actually play. 7 of them will only be like actually impactful, right? I'm not hedging too much, and you can see my minutes my minutes projections for Houston, these are my initial projections. They're obviously not going to be having Eric Gordon out there, and they're going to be bumping up the minutes for a lot of these other guys. So based on basically what I'm doing right now, you're going to start to see minutes projections start to look a little bit like this. I'm trying to remember what I put into my main projections. You're going to start to see stuff like this start to happen. And we can just kind of do that. So it's basically stuff like that. That's going to be like off by a minute or two. My final projections, that's actually in my database and not on Google Sheets. I updated all the minutes projections for it. I think that's the only news we have so far today in terms of a guy being out that we weren't expecting or being in that we weren't expecting. Eric Gordon is now out. opening up even more value on Houston and this slate already that is just loaded with Houston chalk. My favorite play, again, it's always nuanced. It's so hard. What is the contest you're playing? What is the field size you're playing? Do you already have a chalky lineup? But I think Christian Wood stands out as the top play on the slate right now. Expect 50% ownership, though, on Christian Wood, so that's going to be knocking it. But Christian Wood looks like a pretty damn good play today. A blowout can turn that around. DeMar DeRozan now active in a healthy Spurs team. Can mess some things out outside of like Derek White, who's dealing with that toe injury. But yeah, Christian Wood looks pretty good. The rest of it, we're going to have to see what Houston's starting lineup looks like. It's really hard to fully project for this team when we don't know if DeMarcus Cousins is going to be starting next to Christian Wood. That will start to look a lot better. We don't know if it's going to be David Nwaba, who has been starting as of late, so I expect he starts. Or is it going to be Sterling Brown or Ben McLemore starting? That's some stuff that we'll have to figure out over these next couple hours when we get a lineup. Good question. What do we got? I know the feeling. Which one of the Houston players will you not play? Yeah, so Tintin Poker, what's up, man? Yeah, so we're going to have to see what happens with this slate. It's going to depend on the starters. A lot of these guys I have interest in, to be honest with you. They're all grading out as good values. Everybody's identifying that. Everybody's identifying that in terms of owning them at a high clip at this point. If Sterling Brown doesn't play, he's a pretty ball-dominant player that can be a good fantasy point per minute producer. We saw that in Milwaukee when guys would be ruled out on that team, especially days where you would have 2 of the 3 of Middleton, Giannis, and Bledsoe ruled out, which happened 2 years ago, a decent amount. We saw Sterling Brown be pretty ball-dominant. So if he's starting, and he's starting at the point, I don't want to get away from Sterling Brown. I just don't know yet who's actually going to be starting. Whichever one's not starting, though, right? If Jason Tate starts, I have interest. I have interest in, right now, a good amount of Christian Wood. The ownership that DeMarcus Cousins has, DeMarcus Cousins coming in with barely any ownership, I like that a lot. Even if DeMarcus Cousins doesn't start, there's upside for DeMarcus Cousins at a cheap price point of $4,700 to score 40 fantasy points, right? There's a guy who can put up 2 fantasy points per minute. He is a top 5 player over the last decade in usage rate in the NFL. So the NFL, the NBA, still cross-mixing from doing 3 NFL shows today. But yes, DeMarcus Cousins, if he plays 22 minutes and scores 2 fantasy points per minute, right? He's going to score you 44 points at that price tag. That's pretty damn good. So I'm not getting away from DeMarcus Cousins. If he starts, it's even better. Do not be shocked if you see DeMarcus Cousins starting at the point guard position tonight. What are you talking about, Sal? He's a big man. He has very good handles, right? And there's not that many guys in this team. If I had a bet, I would say that it's probably going to be positionless basketball, but like a Sterling Brown starting there or Ben McLemore. But yes, I think that DeMarcus Cousins, I was surprised to see him on a 5-game slate picking up low ownership. Makes sense when the rest of his team is picking up ownership, and he is a risk at the $4,700 tag. It's not dirt cheap, but I think there's a lot of upside in DeMarcus Cousins tonight just because of how good of a goddamn player he is. And now you're looking at a chance that he could play an upside of 28 minutes, right? They normally will limit him to like 20 or 22, but they need him tonight, right? They have 9 bodies, but really like 7 NBA bodies tonight. I'm not too interested in playing guys like Mason Jones tonight, who's a shooting guard, not even a big man. Bouchard is going for 100 tonight. Yeah, Bouchard's not picking up ownership. I would love to see them actually start Chris Bouchard tonight, right? The last couple of games, he started the second half ahead of Alex Len, Aaron Baines in the past. He played 32 minutes in that last game. Yeah, Chris Bouchard looks like it's a great value. He's not picking up all that much ownership either. It's also positionality, right? Like you have Joel Embiid on this slate. He's going to pick up ownership. Christian Wood's going to be picking up ownership. So bonus is still on the slate in Nikola Jokic. So when you have the top centers that are going to be scoring a lot of points projection-wise, those lower or mid-range guys start to not pick up ownership. So guys like Yusuf Nurkic are not going to be as owned as they should be tonight. And he's fucking dirt cheap at $5,300. You've got guys like, and he's not going to be not owned at all, but he's not going to be anywhere near as owned as he should be. You're going to have guys like some of the other guys we're talking about, whether it's Pascal Siakam, some big man tonight, Chris Bouchard. These guys just aren't going to be owned tonight. DeMarcus Cousins, because there's just a lot of opportunity costs at going to them. But I think that risk has a lot of upside for you because they're going to be lower owned. I have a feeling Brogdon and Lillard are going to ball out against each other. Yeah, both look like nice options. I think that Lillard at this point is probably going to start to finally have his ownership come down a little bit just because it's a slate dominated by some big centers up top, right? And I think that's where people are going to go to. Jokic and Embiid primarily, a little bit of Domantas Sabonis up there. Pascal Siakam still at a favorable price point. So I do think that you're probably going to be getting, I would say, a decent amount of upside in playing a Damian Lillard. If a game stays close, Damian Lillard is going to go out there and play close to 40 minutes. So Damian Lillard on like average ownership, if not below owned on a 5-game slate, is pretty appealing to me. It's going to be difficult tonight. You have to get away from the cheap chalk, but you also have to fade the expensive chalk, or to be doing both of those or one of them. Yeah, I mean, there's not much reason to be fading like the Houston team chalk. This is the same situation we've had for back-to-back games now, or slates really with Philly, and then we saw it recently and a couple times now with the Miami Heat. It's just value, right? You just play the value. Miami Heat's back on this slate as well. So you play the value and you get difference elsewhere, whether that's leaving $400 on the table or just pivoting in one spot in your lineup, right? Pivoting one spot in your lineup is all that it takes, right? Instead of playing Joel Embiid, play Damian Lillard, right? And leave $400 on the table. And that could be all you need to get unique tonight. because trying to fade, you're probably going to need 2 to 3 more times than not Houston Rockets in your lineup to be in a winning lineup tonight. That's just how it works, right? Minutes matter. When guys are playing 32 and 34 minutes and their usage is going to spike up into the 20s when they're normally 10 to 15% usage guys, and they're going to start to average close to a fantasy point per minute, and they're playing these 32 minutes, and they're priced in the 3K range, like a David Noaba, like a Ben McLemore, like a Jason Tate, and a Sterling Brown, you're probably going to be seeing 2 to 3, if not 4, on a smaller slate, Houston Rockets in the winning lineup. It's just so easy for them to back into points. And these guys might play like 36 minutes. Again, they might only actually have 9 guys available. They might actually only run significant minutes, like over 10, 7 or 8 guys. So you might see if Sterling Brown starts, play 36 minutes, and it's just an easy 30 plus fantasy points and fucking 10xing at that point, right? Things like that. Jason Tate easily can play. He's already playing decent sized minutes, easily can play 35 minutes and just walk his way into 28 fantasy points, even in a bad performance of like 0.8 fantasy points per minute at $3,300, right? You can't even really factor in the blowout. They got 7 NBA players basically tonight. The blowout doesn't matter. Most of them are still going to get the blowout run. So it's just that good of a situation for Houston. Similar situation in Miami as well with No Myers Leonard doubtful. They still only got like 8 bodies out there. Big energy. Welcome to the Salvatore School for Gifted Fantasy Football Players. Already have my friend Rogers locked. That's a Salvatore perk. Hey, I like that. My man's using that first name, that full first name basis. He's got that full first name basis in here. I appreciate that. What do we got in here right now? A couple hundred people? We got over 300 people in here right now. I appreciate all you. Thank you. Hit that like button, do those things. I'm also doing a giveaway right now. If you hit the notification bell on the channel and you show me that you are notified to the channel, you have that bell. So anytime I release a video, it's notified because I want to try some things out with this channel, right? The more that we go live, maybe we can get up to 1,000 people in these NBA streams because people actually get the notification. I get a lot of the times people saying, oh, I finally made it. Or somebody saying stuff like, I finally made it to a live stream, or I never see when you're going live. That can help people. I don't think it's that big of an inconvenience for a lot of people just getting a little notification. You get so many notifications a day probably. So if you hit that notification bell and you screenshot it, send it to me on Twitter at Sal Vetri DFS. I'll be putting your name into an Excel sheet where I'll be raffling off after we do this for a week. I'll be raffling off some merch to maybe 3-5 people, a hoodie, a t-shirt, whatever you want. You can check the merch store down below if you are indeed picked. So check that out. Sal, how's it going? Josh, it's going very well. How are you, my man? Austin says, fellas, how we doing? Austin, Evan, we got some mods in the chat. How you fellas doing? Paying up for guards or bigs tonight? I think that the chalk option will be paying up for bigs. It's really hard to try and knock you for paying up for Jokic. I mean, if the game doesn't blow out, he's scoring fucking 60 points, right? Like every night. Now, Golden State's finally healthy with Draymond Green back. Do I think this game blows out? There's a chance. Still no Michael Porter Jr. as of right now, at least. We can maybe get some news for Denver. So, yeah, if the game is not going to be blowing out in a major way, Jokic is going to be hard for the guy to not just drop like 55, 60 points. And on a 5-game slate, it starts to come down to points upside. So Jokic and Embiid are going to be the popular pay-up options. I have nothing against those guys. Somewhere in your lineups, you have to get different. So if you want to be eating this chalk tonight with 3 Houston guys, right, or somewhere like a Nurkic, who's not going to be chalk, but just lower-owned guys, then yeah, I think that paying up for a guard, Steph Curry will be like the lowest owned one. I think that getting to Lillard is fine. Lillard is going to be playing these 40 minutes, but Steph Curry is going to be he might actually come in around the same ownership as Lillard. I would say he comes in lower owned than Lillard. Steph probably like on a 5-game slate. I would usually say single digits on like a 7 or 8 game slate. I'd say he's like 14, 12% owned. I would say Lillard comes in around 18, 20% owned tonight. Probably maybe like 22%. So yeah, I think that my goal is to pay up for a big man and get different in like 1 or 2 spots in my lineup with that mid-range play, right? There's a lot of mid-range plays tonight that look very similar, right? Wherever you're looking in the mid-range, whether it's guys like Will Barton and Keldon Johnson and Shake Milton, who looks like a pretty strong value in my opinion. These guys in that 5, 6, 7 range, I think that's where you should be focusing on. Not, but which one of these chalk guys is bad? They all look fucking good, right? There's some guys that are shooting guards and not power forwards that play closer to the basket and not centers that I'll be prioritizing those guys who play closer to the basket or a point guard. So if Sterling Brown's starting at the point, Christian Wood, DeMarcus Cousins, those guys playing next to the basket, I'll start to prioritize those. But they're also cheap that these Houston guys, it's hard to knock them, right? We have to see what the starters are. The pay-up options are as bulletproof as it gets outside of blowouts. Joel Embiid, fair price point. Tobias Harris is back, fine. If you say that as a knock, then you have Nikola Jokic, so those guys are fine. I could see getting to Damian Lillard. I have no issues with getting to Damian Lillard. I project him out for massive minutes again. I think I'm giving Lillard right now 37 minutes, the most on his team, and I think that might be the most on the slate that I gave a player 37 minutes. I gave Hero 37 minutes as well, so Sabonis 37 minutes as well. So yeah, a couple guys got 37. Nobody got 38 in my projections, so a lot of usage there. I think the upside on this slate and the part that you have to figure out is the mid-range. Everybody knows the chalk. Everybody knows the pay-up options. It's easy as hell to get to the chalk because they're cheap, and it's easy as hell to get to the pay-up options because of that chalk. What are you doing with those two spots in the middle of your lineup? Those two guys who are in the 6K and 5K range. I think that's where you can get different tonight. That's where you can find guys that are 8% owned, or JaMychal Greens that are going to be 4% owned tonight, or Kelly Oubre's or Draymond Greens that are going to be 4 or 5% owned tonight, right? Those are the types of plays that, Draymond just went up for one of his 5 triple-doubles that he gets a year, 4 triple-doubles that he gets a year. All right, there's a 60 burger that's 5% owned. Things like that is where this slate actually matters. Hopefully that makes sense. Sal, great photo you posted, says Cheryl. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that a ton. Thank you. Another fresh cut. Damn, Sal. Yeah, somebody said the other day that I had a fresh cut. I haven't gotten a fresh cut. I get one every 2 weeks. So tomorrow will be 2 weeks, but I can't go tomorrow because I'll be getting on a plane. So I got one today. So I get one every 2 weeks. Everybody's saying another fresh cut. I get one every. Ideally, if Vetri Media has another nice year, ideally I'll start to get one every week, right? Obviously, don't be spending money on stupid stuff, but stuff that matters to you. And I like haircuts. I like feeling fresh, right? If you know me, if you get a haircut often, if you get a haircut like every 2 weeks, after that like second week, it's sort of just like, it's like, shit, I'm not feeling fresh right now. I ain't the same person, right? It's a real thing. If you get a fade, you get like addicted to it at that point. Smack that like button, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Hit that for sure. What's up, Evan? How you doing? Is Cousins in play now with Gordon out? Yes. Yes. I think Cousins is going to go under-owned unless, the second he hits the starting lineup, if he's starting at like the 5, people are obviously going to gravitate toward him. But Cousins right now, my top 5 plays tonight are Houston guys. So, yeah, I don't think you should really be getting away from them. Cousins is my number 5 overall play tonight, and he's going to be nowhere near that, like in ownership. I kind of hope he doesn't start. If he starts, it's great, but then the ownership piles onto him. If he doesn't start, I still think Cousins can play 25 minutes tonight. They just don't have bodies, right? They don't have bodies. I think Cousins, that he can pick up a lot of minutes at the 5. He can pick up alongside minutes with Wood. Wood used to start at the 4 for Detroit a lot, right? Even when he was with Milwaukee, he would play a lot of the 4. So they can be on the court at the same time, and they're going to need to be tonight. I believe so. A lot of questions coming in, so thank you. I'm just scrolling back. I'll be sure to get to them. I'm a little bit behind because we do the plugs in the beginning, but I'll be sure to try and get to any of the ones that I can see right now. Sal, what's going on in carry tonight? Are you in carry tonight? What do you mean carry? What does that mean? Are you paying up for bigs or guards? Hope everything is okay. Sorry for the bad news. Thanks. I appreciate that, man. What's going on? Who's your daddy DFS? What's up, man? I remember when we used to do the Twitch streams. You'd be in a lot of those. What's up, my man? How you doing? What's up? I prefer to pay up for the big men tonight, right? Jokic and Embiid. I have no issues with Lillard, though. I will say that I have no issues with Lillard tonight, but paying up for those big men, to me, makes sense. Fellas. What's up? Put up 324 in a head-to-head last night and lost. Sorry for your loss, Sal. We are all here for you. I appreciate that. Thanks. Yeah, last night, it doesn't matter how many points you scored. Like, you can't be saying, I put up 260 the other night and won, and now I put up 324. What's going on here? No, you're playing on the same slate as everybody else. I'm not talking to you specifically, but I see this a lot. Like, the points every single night are relative, right? Some nights it's like, okay, you have to score 450 to win. Some nights it's you have to score 325 to win. It's relative to that night. So I see people saying like DFS is fixed now. What are you talking about? There's more value on the slate. So when there's more value on the slate because of COVID and other stuff, you can pay up for the big guys. When you can pay up for the big guys, they have a better chance of scoring 80 like Joel Embiid did, right? And then when the value is more stable because they're playing 30 minutes and not 22 minutes of value like we used to have last year all the time, well, those guys can actually start scoring 40 points now, right? And when a game goes to overtime, that's highly owned. That's what's going to happen. So yeah, definitely for sure. Hey, Sal, thanks for the videos. No problem, Devin. Found you Monday and started watching daily. Hey, we got a new subscriber. If you're a new subscriber right now in the chat, you're just finding me on this live stream. Let me know in the chat. I always think it's cool, like how just randomly people are searching one day, DFS, NBA content, whatever it is. Let me know how you found me. And if you're brand new, let us know. Welcome you to the community. I only play $5 or $12 single entries, and I've been profiting from them. Thanks, bro. Going to try Super Draft. Yeah, man. Yeah. Especially if you're a new user to DFS or a low stakes player. Like even if you just got like a $20 bankroll, they're going to match you. They're going to give you a slow drip on Super Draft, but just put like $10 in. Play around with the things over there. It's a very interesting format. And if you understand the multipliers and understand projections and have access, we have some down below if you want to use those. Yeah, it's pretty damn crazy. I need to start maxing out Super Draft more, right? I need to start like full on maxing out those contests every single night. I usually don't max out every single night anyways. Most of the nights, but I like to play single entry and 3 max. You know, you got to take some time off. Playing 7 nights a week of NBA DFS, you'll drive yourself crazy. So I usually play every single night, but trying to handle 150 lineups when news is breaking every last second can be stressful. So I'll max out like, maybe 4 or 5 times a week. Usually on the weekends I don't. That's when I usually take off from maxing out and sometimes even playing the slate. But I'll usually have a single entry 3 max lines in there. All love out to you, my guy. Appreciate you, Andre. Appreciate you, my man. You look like Megamind. I don't know who Megamind is, but I'll take that. I assume Megamind has a massive brain, so if that's the case, we'll take it. Big old brain. How would you rank the 3K Houston guys? Yeah, so this is a good question, Kyle Davis. The question's going to be tough until we see a starting lineup, right? So there's 4 3K Houston guys. As of right now, the way my projections I have it ranked is Nwaba, Tate, McLemore, and Brown. But, and this is a big old booty, we're going to have to see who starts. If Sterling Brown's starting at the point, he's quickly going to become probably my number 1 play. Out of all those guys, and maybe even on the slate. So I'm actually going to update something here for Sterling Brown because I do think that if Sterling Brown does start, he probably becomes my number 1 play tonight. And he seems to be like the most likely, if they want to actually have a traditional point or somebody who could actually ball handle out there, he seems the most likely to take that on. But I would not be shocked. We've seen it before in the past that there's been a point. DeMarcus Cousins has played point guard at times in his career back in the day. But I wouldn't be shocked to see that tonight. I would actually be pretty excited. But yeah, I do think that Sterling Brown, assuming he comes off the bench, would be my last guy ranked out of those 3K guys, outside of just like the guys you obviously don't want to be owning. I don't even remember this man's name because today was the first time I've ever seen his name. Mason Jones, shooting guard. But if Sterling Brown starts at the point, he'll probably be my number 1 option, and then Tate and Nwaba after that. McLemore they're all pretty close though. They're all basically all the 4 of those guys I just mentioned are in my top 5 in place tonight. So yeah, looks pretty damn good, huh? Looks pretty damn good for sure in Houston. In terms of how many Houston guys can you play, normally I say like in these situations, I just want 2 to 3, right? But these guys are all so cheap. They're all 3K that you can play 3 to 4. You probably can't get away with 5, to be honest with you. But yeah, I mean, you could get away with 5 if it goes into like overtime and all these guys are scoring 40 plus at their cheap price points, and you can easily play Embiid and you can easily play Jokic and they go off for like 70 each. You can get away with that for sure. You might even be able to fit in 3 studs if you're playing 5 of them, right? Can you fit in a Lillard, a Jokic, and an Embiid if you play 5 of these? I don't even think there's 5 3K guys. There's only 4. But then there's Cousins at 4.7, but he's a center. Yeah, I haven't played around with that yet. I'm going to build lineups after this for single entry and 3 max. But I would say 3 or 4 you can get away with on this slate. And 4 is very much in play because of how cheap these guys are. What is my favorite play of the day? Nice. Hey, Sal, hope everything works out for you. I find myself throwing all my energy into work over this past year, too. Stay up, homie. Hey, man, nice. Shout out to you. Make some time for your mentals. Is Jokic worth paying up for? I think so. How much is the Patreon package? Says Silly Boy Stunt. Yeah, man. So I'll put a link in the description. There's different tiers, right? So it depends on the sport, how many sports you want access to, if you want access to the Discord. Everything's broken down right here on this page. Once you go to this page, that'll be the home page. There's a video. There's a description. Make sure you know everything you need to know. Take care of you. But then there'll be a little button that says Become a Patron. And you can just look at the packages there. When you click that button, it doesn't just sign you up. It'll show you some of the packages that you could sign up for. McLemore and Nwaba. As of right now, Nwaba. Anthony, I appreciate the kind words. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate that. Hey, Sal, Cousins or Nurkic if Cousins starts? Cousins. Yeah, I like Nurkic, but I mean, Nurkic is cheap at 5,300. Cousins, if he starts, is dirt cheap at 4,700, right? So, yeah, I would go Cousins there. And Cousins, if he starts, would basically project out very close to Nurkic for me. And again, he's cheaper. Any Curry for you? I'm not getting too much right now, man. To be honest with you, I'm going more Lillard there. What pay-up options are you getting a lot of exposure to tonight other than Christian Wood with so much value? Jokic, Embiid, those types of guys, Lillard. I'm not getting as much. Let me factor it by price right now. I'm not getting as much Curry, which Curry is going to be lower owned, but I don't think to a point where I need to like prioritize that. So not getting any Simmons really, getting average amounts of Sabonis, getting average amounts of Siakam, not really getting much McCollum or Fred VanVleet or Lowry. So, I mean, now we're into the 7K range at that point. So a lot of Jokic and Embiid, right? Those 2 guys that are above 10K. Jokic's the only guy at 11K. So those 2 guys in Lillard are the main guys I'm getting. Because whenever a game for Lillard stays close, he's playing 40 minutes. And if he's playing 40 minutes and averaging at least 1.2 fantasy points per minute more times than not, he's going off for these 50-plus point games. The price point is still not up to where it should be. Lillard's he's about a $9,000 player, but when he's playing 36 minutes, when he's playing 40 minutes a night, he starts to become a $10,000 player. And pretty often. PJ Tucker, somebody says, yeah, honestly, Tucker's not the guy for me. Tucker is the same guy no matter who is on or off the court. That is PJ Tucker's role. PJ Tucker does not become more ball dominant. He does not become a better rebounder. Nothing happens for PJ Tucker. He stays in the corner. His usage rate remains at like 7 or 8%. Nothing happens for PJ Tucker. So the minutes are always high at 33 to 35. So yeah, I mean, PJ Tucker, it's crazy. All these guys are off the court. Nothing changes. I haven't projected. PJ Tucker is my number 63. Oh, no, that's not right. I have this factored by price. But still, he's not going to be high. He's not going to be 63. But let's pull up PJ Tucker. Out of all these Houston guys that have great overall rankings, PJ Tucker is my number 20 play. Now, that's not terrible, but keeping in mind that it's a 5-game slate, not a 9-game slate, keeping in mind that all of the other guys on his team, I currently have This is fucking crazy. My top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, my top 6 plays tonight are Houston Rockets, right? So, and PJ Tucker is not one of them. PJ Tucker would be the 7th play there, because then after that, you're looking at guys like Mason Jones, and I forgot whoever the other junior guy is that might play tonight, but they're not really sure. Rodgers, LOL. Yeah, Anthony Rose. What's up, man? Yeah, you could play Aaron Rodgers tonight in the center spot. If you want, you get to take any performance as long as you are a patron. If you sign up for Patreon, we made a deal that you can take Aaron Rodgers. Not really, but you can take Aaron Rodgers and you can put any of his high-scoring games into your center spot. And since it's the NBA, you get to multiply it by 2. So Rodgers has scored 30-plus points a couple times, so you can get a nice 60 points if you think it's worth it. Now, if you're a patron, it probably is, because you get to do it with no bonus or no cost at all. It's free. You already have Patreon. Otherwise, you would have to sign up for Patreon, so then you can get the access to Aaron Rodgers any single night. You can also put him into any other lineups you have. MMA, he's going to become a fighter now, so MMA, you can put him in there, and you can get any of his highest performances and what that accumulates to for the ceiling for an MMA contest, all that type of stuff. Is Tyler Hero a must tonight? No, but I will be trying to prioritize him as well. He is also going to be picking up ownership, but I mean, you can just assume that a lot of guys are in the slate because there's so many guys with value, but not as much as he should because of all these Houston guys. Is he a must though? No, because he is very close in price to Christian Wood, who in my opinion is a must. So Tyler Hero, like if you're going to get Christian Wood starting at the 5 or just playing at the 5, half of his minutes, playing at the 4 next to Cousins for half, whatever it is, but no other usage, seeing a 35% usage rate, something crazy. Yeah, Christian Wood is the must in that 7K price range. That's why I don't really have much interest in these Toronto guards. That's why I have less interest in Malcolm Brogdon, who's more expensive, because Christian Wood. And then also, like you said, Tyler Hero, I suspect Hero is going to be playing, I have him for 37 minutes. I suspect close to 28 to 30% usage rate. Close to 1.2 fantasy points per minute potentially. So yeah, he's not a must, but he is a strong option. Hero for me tonight. What do I have Hero at? I have Hero as my number 10 overall play tonight. That's also factoring in a lot of value from both Miami and Houston, right? So I mean, Houston's my top 6 plays. Miami after that. This is crazy. I have Nurkic that's in my top. Let's see. My top 11 plays, 10 of them are Miami and Houston guys. That shouldn't shock anybody because that's where all the value is tonight. But that's just what happens when you only got 8 bodies to roll out there because of COVID. Pretty fucking nuts. If Wood starts at the 4, will you get a lot less of him? No, I won't. I'm projecting him to start at the 5 right now. I would get a lot more of Cousins. I would get less of Wood, not a lot less of Wood. I would have a little bit more worries about the overall upside of Wood, but not that much more. Like Wood is not only, like, he's not just a big man. Like, this is a versatile guy. This is why, like, them getting Wood for when Harden was there made a lot of sense. Because Harden's never had that, right? Harden's had these fucking Tyson Chandlers, these Clint Capellas, guys that just are flat-footed, right? They stay there for alley-oops. Not a guy who can space the floor and let Harden drive and then actually kick it to somebody who can hit a three-pointer for you. Christian Wood is as versatile as it gets, right? So yeah, Christian Wood, if he starts at the 4, that's kind of positionless for me. Like, starting at the 5 is nicer just because you're closer to the basket, but at the 4, you're still close. And even if him and Cousins play next to each other, I see them both hitting some massive points for their price points. Like Christian Wood tonight, knowing what we know right now, Christian Wood should be at least Joel Embiid's price point of $10,000. At least Joel Embiid's price point. And I would actually go out on a limb and argue that Christian Wood should be more expensive than Joel Embiid tonight. And then you look at the prices and you see he's $2,300 less. So based on my projections, Christian Wood should probably be about $10,500 tonight. So when you get almost a $3,000 discount on a guy, you play him. And like you're saying, if he starts at the 4 tonight and Cousins is at the 5, that changes a little bit, but nothing too crazy. Thoughts on Precious tonight? Precious looks good. Precious tonight. Yet again, you saw bigger minutes in that last game for Precious. Got it, game went to overtime, but you're still seeing 30-plus in regulation for Precious. You saw the 13 rebounds, which is the big thing. Like, if Precious is going to shoot just out of necessity 8 to 10 times and just shoot, anywhere near the worst NBA player you've seen and make 3 or 4 of those, and then Precious puts up 8 real-life points, that's not great. Falls into a block and assist. The rebounds are the big thing. You're going to continue to get rebounds out of Precious, and the minutes look nice. Precious tonight is my number 8 overall play. Chris Bouchard on Superdraft, ? Tonight on Superdraft, I do think that Chris Bouchard looks good. There's a lot of other centers there. If Christian Wood, I can't remember, I don't have Superdraft pulled up. Is Christian Wood a center or power forward on Superdraft? Wood is my number 1 Superdraft play, but Chris Bouchard is a top 5 play. He's basically neck and neck right now with guys like Sabonis and Jokic at the big man position. Do you think Cousins can outscore Jokic tonight? Do I think it's possible? Yes. Do I think it'll happen? No. If Cousins starts at the 5 tonight and I can start to project upper 20s in minutes and not low to mid 20s or potentially even 30, I won't project 30s, but like 28 minutes, 27 minutes instead of 22, 23, 24, he'll project out for a lot of the times 40 points. But there's a big difference between his ceilings at his minutes limitations just because of his body. Like, Cousins can score 50 tonight. Jokic can score 80. So do I think there's a chance? Yes. To answer your question, there's definitely a chance. I would want to see him start, though. Will Nurkic be too chalky tonight? Sammy, what's going on? No, he won't be. And the reason why Nurkic isn't going to be too chalky tonight is because every other center people want to pay up for. Jokic, Embiid primarily. You have guys like Chris Bouchard who'll pick up ownership, right? Nurkic himself, but some other guys as well. DeMarcus Cousins will only pick up more ownership. Christian Wood. So, yeah, no, I don't think so. I know you don't play FanDuel, but Cousins is only $4,600 in there. Looks good. Do you like Will Barton tonight against Golden State's defense? Not really, but that's one of those guys that if you're just looking for a one guy to get into your lineup to be lower owned, and he's in that mid-range that we were talking about, of the 5 or 6K range, $5,800 Will Barton, I think you can do worse than Will Barton tonight. That being said, he is nowhere near a priority, but that's one of the guys if you're playing a single entry lineup. Will Barton tonight on a 5-game slate is my number 28 overall play. I like some other guys more. I like guys like Duncan Robinson and PJ Washington and Shake Milton, Kelly Olynyk, those guys a little bit more, but you can be damn sure that Barton's not going to have any ownership. Why do you have Eric Gordon up there, Sal? What are you talking about? Brogdon looked good. I'm probably not going to get there just at the price point. He looks better with no Oladipo for sure now. Brogdon tonight takes a little bit of a hit in the rankings just because there's so many other better values around him. So that's the issue with Brogdon tonight. Like, I would prefer... I still like Brogdon. I still have him as a top 20 play. He's my 17th overall play, but I would prefer, I think, right now probably... Sabonis and him are pretty much toss-ups. I'd probably take Brogdon over Sabonis, but that's just looking at the same team. Houston value or Miami value or both? The answer is both, but if I had to choose one, I would be going with Houston. Projected ownership on DeJounte Murray. Low. It's going to be low because the ownership on DeJounte Murray is now going to have to basically take into account that you have his price point not really coming up. Like, it's come up a little bit, but now DeMar DeRozan coming back. I think DeJounte Murray 3% owned tonight. Sal, can you rank McLemore, Nwaba, and Brown? So let's just assume... We can't say they're all going to start, but let's just say they all start just so I can give you an idea of this, because I don't know if it's going to be McLemore or Brown starting. I would assume Nwaba starts because he has been starting. If all three started, I would go with Sterling, Brown, Nwaba, and McLemore. I think that's the order, assuming that both, they're all three not going to start. I can tell you that. Maybe they do, but I think it's going to be Tucker, Nwaba, Christian Wood, and then you're really going to have to see, do they go DeMarcus Cousins, and then it's going to be between Brown and McLemore for the point guard spot. But early on right now, I would say probably Sterling Brown if he starts, Nwaba, and McLemore. If you're a Patreon right now and you're like, what are you talking about Sterling Brown? He's not that high in the projections. I have to update the projections. I'm updating the projections basically to take into account now that I think that there's a pretty decent chance Sterling Brown starts. That will change if he doesn't start. We'll be able to update that. Sal, thoughts on Graham and Rozier? Graham's been playing better as of late, but he's priced for it at $6,000 now. Hayward is expected to play. Yeah, no real interest in either. They're both just kind of meh plays on this slate. Sally, how you doing? If I had to pick one, I would pick Rozier over Hayward or Rozier over Graham. Best game to target tonight. Miami and Philly looks pretty damn good. Houston and San Antonio looks just good because of the value on Houston's side. But overall game to target, I think that Miami and Philly yet again looks pretty good. I think less people will go to it tonight just because you have more value on the slate from another team. From the Miami side, we're talking about value, but also Joel Embiid's upside. Tobias Harris comes back, who's been playing very, very well. We'll see if that kind of gets impacted at all. We can pull up the target offense sheet real quickly on the YouTube streamer right now. Let's pull this up and basically show, let me pull this bad boy up. There we go. Basically just show what some of these matchups, the target offense sheet, what some of these matchups are going to be. Scroll it up. Get Denver and Golden State on the screen. Scroll a little bit more up. There we go. So there's a target offense sheet tonight. So if you're just looking at totals and things like that, you're going to be seeing kind of spread out, right? It's just basically a bunch of teams around 220. You have one team at a 229 total. That is Indy and Portland, which makes Damian Lillard look a little bit nicer. Nurkic looks like a pretty nice sleeper option if you wanted to find an upside play tonight. Yeah, Nurkic looks great. He's going to be lower owned than he should. It's even going to go lower owned if DeMarcus Cousins starts. What's your thoughts on Miami and the Philly game? Yeah, looks good. I don't have like a betting interest in that side of it, but looks good. All the value in Miami still. More in Houston, so it's going to reduce really what's happening for Tyler Hero's ceiling, reduce really what's happening for guys like Kelly Olynyk's ceiling. Chris Silva is going to be literally unowned. I think Chris Silva plays 20 or 22 minutes if he doesn't foul out in 17 minutes tonight, and that could really be 30 fantasy points, but it almost doesn't matter at this point because Chris Silva is $3,500, and there's just so many guys in Houston that are cheaper at this point. I would expect Chris Silva to be like 2% owned. On the Philadelphia side, I think Shake Milton looks very good tonight. I think that Embiid continues to look good. Don't really have interest in Ben Simmons. Eventually, Simmons is going to crack a 50-point game, and it's going to look good, but he's almost priced for it still. But Milton's not owned at all. And you still have no Seth Curry out there, so that's going to matter for Milton. Milton was playing like 25, 26 minutes a game with Curry playing 30 to 32 minutes a game, right? So Milton's probably going to play around 30 minutes. He's probably going to start. So yeah, I like Milton, who I don't think picks up that much ownership tonight. You can put him in a shooting guard spot as well, which is really nice. What up, Brody? What's going on, Artful? Gabe Vincent, a legit play tonight. Not as much as he once was, but Gabe Vincent, yeah, I mean, he took a lot of shot attempts. He took 20 shot attempts, right? The game got to overtime, which helped him get there even more. Shooting guard eligible tonight. I don't have to get there as much. He's going to be average owned. You could get there. He's decent, but I don't want to be running right back to Gabe Vincent. The game went to overtime, and he got to shoot 20 times, making 9 of those attempts to really end up getting him there. He picked up peripherals just because he had to back his way into minutes. But I would be a little bit more hesitant on Gabe Vincent tonight. He is my number 14 overall play. Because Miles Bridges be a good value if Hayward sits. Yes, but they're saying Hayward is likely probable. Always got a fresh cut. Appreciate that. I'm from Harley Dilly's channel. What does that mean? I'm not too sure, but you can educate me. Sal Vetri, favorite point guard at $8,200 or under tonight. So I'm going to assume you want to lean towards the top of that range, because I mean it would be probably Tyler Hero. Because if you want me to just go all the way down to the bottom, it's probably Sterling Brown if he starts. But Tyler Hero, if you're looking for like an actual expensive play, Nurkic still feels undervalued. Yeah, by far. Nurkic is $2,000 underpriced in my opinion. Aaron Rodgers goalie in NHL, yes. If you are a patron, yes. Do you like Nwaba or Vincent more? Nwaba. Everyone may pay up for Jokic and Boogie may go overlooked. Yeah, I mean, people are going to pay up for Jokic and Embiid for sure. And Christian Wood, right? So they're going to pay up for these guys. Boogie will go. That's why Boogie and Chris Bouchard and Nurkic are not picking up as much ownership, because you just can't fit 3 centers into your lineup, sadly. I'm going to scroll down just so we get to some more recent comments. Eric Gordon is out, correct. Sal, you've helped me a lot this year, lots of cash, and it's my first year. Happy to hear that, Lisa S. Very nice. Draymond too cheap? I think Draymond is slightly too cheap. The ceiling is definitely there because he's picking up these assists at a phenomenal rate right now. So, yeah, I think Draymond's too cheap. Olynyk worth starting tonight. I think the price point's fair on Olynyk, where he's not a priority for me anymore, especially since he's going to be one of the higher owned guys in the slate. So Olynyk is not a priority for me because the price point's nowhere near where it should be. Like if he started the way that he isn't, if he had this situation all year long, Olynyk would probably be like a $7,000 player. So he's definitely still not priced up enough. But with a slate that has just all the value in the world, he starts to become not as much of a priority for me tonight. Kelly Olynyk currently, I believe, ranks out as trying to find him right now. He's still going to rank out pretty nicely, but he's my number 11 overall play. So he's not a priority compared to the rest of the slate. Still a fine option. My boy Sal, again, helping me with the ride home from work. What's up, man? Sal, who's your top 3 studs on tonight's slate willing to pay up for? So willing to pay up for tonight, it's going to be, I mean, if we're going to assume Christian Wood's a stud in that price range at $7,700, right? It's really not going to shock anybody. Like if you're just looking for pure points upside, for me, it'll probably be Christian Wood tonight. I'm trying to find the cutoff, like 7K and above or 8K and above or 9K and above, right? So what is your price range? If your price range is Christian Wood and above, I'll go with Christian Wood, Nikola Jokic, and Joel Embiid, 3A, 3B with basically Lillard. That's where I'm at right now. How owned is Jokic going to be today? Yeah, when it's so easy to afford him, he's going to be owned. I'd say like 25%, and it only gets more if even more guys. And any interest in Bouchard today? Yeah, I have interest in Chris Bouchard, probably 150s. It's tough to really want to put him in your single entry or 3-max with a lot on the line in those condensed lineups because there's just so many other centers. If Chris Bouchard gets the starting nod at 6,500, it looks better. But yet again, you have DeMarcus Cousins, who averages like probably similar or more fantasy points per minute at a cheaper price point. You'll have Nurkic, who's a very similar player to a Chris Bouchard fantasy point per minute wise when he gets minutes. So those guys are cheaper tonight than Bouchard. Bouchard's in play, but he's more of a 150 max type of play. Is Embiid still a smash? Yeah, I mean, Tobias Harris comes back, so does Shake Milton, but doesn't take me off of Embiid. His rebounding rate won't change. His usage will barely get knocked. And he's going up yet again against Precious Achiuwa and Chris Silva tonight and Kelly Olynyk. So, yeah, I don't think too much changes for Embiid. Yeah. Sal, how are you? I can't decide between Jokic, Nurkic, and Wood. Who would be your 2 out of those 3? So Nurkic will give you a more unique lineup. So if you're playing cash, the answer is Jokic and Wood. Easy as day. If you go with that, you're going to have to try and get different elsewhere in your lineup because then you're going to start to play the obvious Miami and Houston value. So that's why I think the mid-range of 5 and 6K, whoever your 1 to 2 guys in your lineup there should be your pivot options if you plan to pay up for Jokic and like Embiid or Jokic and Wood, because then you have to get different in your lineup elsewhere, and because you're probably playing the cheap, obvious value. Tony Bradley, a start? No. You like Andrew Wiggins tonight? No. Thoughts on James Wiseman? Actually starts to grade out as decent value as his price point is down, and they say that they might give him a couple extra minutes, so starts to grade out as decent value, but he's still can't really get into any of my main lineups. I got him for almost 24 points. That's pretty damn good, but you just have so many other guys in that price range that are in play tonight. Just give me even Chris Silva, I'd probably take over him. But Wiseman is my number 16 overall play. Not bad at all. He's a yes right now in my player pool, but the center position is loaded tonight. And the opportunity cost at playing a James Wiseman who might get you 30 in a really good game at 4,300 and playing a Jokic or an Embiid who can get you 65 rather easily, especially for Jokic, that's tough. Or Christian Wood tonight, who I'm projecting as the second highest projected player, only behind, you can check it out all down below, only behind Jokic. Yeah. Any love for LaMarcus Aldridge? With DeRozan starting, not much. Still in play, though, but not much. Having that power forward eligibility makes him a lot better of a play, but he's still my 33rd overall play. If you had to pick two, Nwaba or Brown, who would you go? If Brown starts, I'd go with Brown. Is Hero a must play? No. Do you like Siakam tonight? Yes, I do. I'm hesitant on starting McLemore, Brown, and Nwaba. Would that be bad? I want to see what the starting lineup looks like. I don't want to start all three of them, though. Where does Tate rank for you? Jason Tate ranks out as my 3rd overall play, assuming that he starts. Siakam's going to be chalky tonight? I do not think so, no. I do not think that Siakam picks up anywhere near as much ownership as he should. He'll probably be average owned at best. By the way, much appreciated on week 4 Thursday night show day. I took down the 15K single entry with Melvin Gordon as captain. Nice job, my man. Nice job. Jamal Murray a lock tonight. $6,900. Interesting. Not really interested in Jamal tonight. Favorite mid-range plays today? Yeah, that's probably going to be, the guys who look obvious in the mid-range are going to be guys like Kelly Olynyk, are going to be guys like Duncan Robinson, right? But I think guys like Shake Milton look pretty damn strong today. If we're talking like 5 and 6K range, I think Shake Milton looks good. I think Keldon Johnson is very close to hitting one of these ceiling performances. DeMar DeRozan coming back doesn't help that as much, but I think he's pretty close to that. Yeah, I'm assuming mid-range is 5 and 6K range. I think PJ Washington will be lower owned than he should be. I think that there's a massive ceiling on Draymond Green, right? Just from a triple-double standpoint. He's picking up the assists. He's picking up a decent amount of rebounds. He can get you 10 points. So there's a massive ceiling on Draymond Green, and what his assist percentage right now is on that team, he'll be low owned. So those types of guys in the mid-range really look nice. Like Duncan Robinson will be owned, so I can get away from that. Kelly Olynyk will be owned, so I can get away from that. If I'm trying to go to the mid-range, I'm trying to look for a pivot play. And those types of plays tonight are guys like Draymond Green or guys like Keldon Johnson. For me, Shake Milton, whatever it is. Those types of plays. Kelly Oubre, I'd rather Draymond on that team. I just think you're getting more upside from an assist percentage from Draymond, which you really don't get from Oubre. He kind of does a little bit of everything, but he's not going to be like, okay, I can hang my hat on this guy getting me there. If he doesn't score 15, 20 real-life points for Kelly Oubre, I can hang my hat on something else. It's not really the case like it is with Draymond because of his assist percentage. Is Hero must play? No. Random old school, Alonzo Mourning or Larry Johnson? Larry Johnson. What's your favorite mid-range? All right, so we just answered that. How do you feel about Eric? You mean Edmund Sumner? Started for Depot before the trade. I don't know why Siri just thought I said Siri, but yeah, I'm not really interested in Edmund Sumner. Yeah, I think he splits. I mean, you have TJ McConnell back now, so that's going to hurt anybody. Like, even if it's Aaron Holiday starting over Sumner, even if it's Sumner starting, TJ McConnell coming back now is going to really be cutting into those minutes. Sumner's minutes are definitely coming down now. Who's a good option that is going to be cheaper than Vincent? All the Houston guys. David Nwaba, Sterling Brown, Ben McLemore, all these Houston guys. There's not many other options that are going to be cheaper than Gabe Vincent for you tonight. Sad, do you see Bruno Caboclo in play? If so, how many minutes? Bruno Caboclo? No. I mean, what team is Bruno Caboclo even on these days? Bruno Caboclo is a Houston Rockets. Yeah, he's not with the team right now. Bruno Caboclo is not with the team right now. So, no, he's not in play. Thoughts on Sabonis tonight? I like him. Sal, can you explain what? What do you mean? What does what mean, Lucas? Can you explain what? I don't know what that means. It's a 4-letter word. It's usually stated as a question to start off a sentence. What about Fred VanVleet? Not interested. He's still overpriced. Sal, Brogdon or Simmons tonight? I'll go Brogdon. Any love for Jason Tate? Yes. Aaron Holiday? No shot. Siakam or Bouchard for Superdraft? Between those two guys in Superdraft, I'm going to be going with Mr. Bouchard over there. Both are strongly in play, but I'll go with Mr. Bouchard. Boogie for 10X tonight? If Boogie starts, there's a decent chance he can 10X. There's a decent chance Boogie can score 45 to 50. Am I projecting for that? No. I currently have Boogie as my 6th overall play right now. He was 5th to start the stream. I changed some things that I'll update on Patreon in a second. You think PJ Washington is a good play in single entry? Yeah, I think he's solid there. Sending my T's and P's to Sal and his family. RIP Grandma V. Thank you. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Any Super Draft gems tonight? Yeah. What position? What position? I think Christian Wood's a top overall play. I think LaMelo Ball probably looks like the top overall guard play tonight. McDermott or Trey Lyles? Trey Lyles, I don't even think really steps on. Both of them are terrible plays. Don't play them tonight. Don't play McDermott or Trey Lyles. With DeMar DeRozan back, Trey Lyles might not even play a minute. I have him projected for 6, I think. So the answer there is McDermott. But that being said, I have McDermott projected for 20.3 points. So, I mean, not great on this type of a slate with so much value. I have Trey Lyles for 5.59 points. So, yeah, DeMar DeRozan coming back means Trey Lyles sees no minutes. Doug McDermott probably plays low 20s. Not great. What's your favorite pastry? A Napoleon or cannoli? Neither of them are my favorite, but I'll go with the cannoli there. But neither of them are my favorite. Yeah, I don't know what my favorite pastry is. Like, I like cheesecake a lot, but it's too overpowering to like have often enough, or really like I have it like a couple times a year, if that, like at holidays. I like that a lot, but it's way too overpowering. If I thought about it more, I could probably think like I love frozen yogurt, like the self-serve frozen yogurt. Now that I don't live by it, when I was in college, I was in walking distance. I would just like walk by and be like, you can't get it. And then I fucking walk in and get it. Spend like $10 on a frozen yogurt. But like in high school, one night I went to a frozen yogurt place. Before we went to the movies with my friend, I spent like $12. Me and my buddies went to the movies next to a frozen yogurt place. On the way out, I fucking double tapped that frozen yogurt. I spent like $25 in the night. So if you count that as a dessert, that's it. But if you're talking about like baked goods, I'm a sucker for just like motherfucking cookies. I'm a sucker for like cookie bars, any of that type of stuff. I'm not really a big cake person. I'll eat cake. I'm not really a big pie person. I'll eat pie. I'm more so like, that cookies. You get me a nice thick like chocolate chip cookie bar, like a brownie chocolate chip slutty brownie. Oh, that sounds nice. Sal, you like Steph at low ownership? I would prefer Lillard because I think Steph and Lillard come in pretty similarly owned, and Lillard's cheaper and looks better to me. Went to high school with Shake Milton in Oklahoma. Pretty cool. He made it out. Yeah, it's awesome. That's sick. If Cousins starts, do you lock him in? No, I don't play 100% Cousins because it's just so much value on the slate that I would randomize it, but I would assume Cousins becomes, if he starts, like a top 3 play for me, yeah. Nick Boyle at power forward. I'm not too much onto that. They cut Bruno. Yeah, Bruno's not with the team anymore. How do you feel about Brogdon upside without Oladipo? I think his upside is definitely higher without Oladipo. I think his consistency to get you there at $8,300 is definitely in play. I think that Brogdon's ownership tonight is maybe a touch too high at $8,300. I'd rather go elsewhere. I'd rather go to Tyler Hero, who probably comes in similarly owned, maybe a little bit less owned. I'd rather go to definitely Christian Wood, who comes in higher owned, but still prefer that guy closer to the basket. So Brogdon's kind of in no man's land, if you will, at $8,300. Like, there's those other guys, like the Toronto guards are in that range, right? I would prefer Pascal Siakam in Brogdon's range tonight. I would prefer CJ McCollum in Brogdon's range tonight. So, yeah. And I normally don't like McCollum, but he's just playing massive minutes and seeing a lot more usage, and there's something to it right now. Achua or Olynyk tonight? If you're just talking about pure points upside, I'm going to be going with Olynyk by far, I think. Yeah, by far Olynyk. If you're just talking about projection for like value, I think Achua is the better value play at his cheap price point. Fantasy points per dollar wise, Achua is my number 8 overall play, and Kelly Olynyk is my number 11. But I do have Kelly Olynyk projected for quite a bit more points. Is Wood a must play in GPPs, or is it smart to pivot off him? I'm going to play him. Yeah, so I mean, Wood would be as close to a must play as it gets. Yes, I mean, Wood is at $7,700 projecting out for me for it as a like $10,400 player. So like if Christian Wood was $10,400 today, I probably wouldn't have interest, but he wouldn't be out of play. That's how good of a play he's projecting out for right now. And he's $7,700. So yeah, Christian Wood looks motherfucking good. This might be the best game of Christian Wood's career tonight. He's at least set up for it. You think McLemore will start? I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be McLemore. I don't know if it's going to be Sterling Brown. I don't know if it'll be both of them and you get Cousins off the bench. I do not know. So we shall find out. Harris or Hayward tonight? I'll go Tobias Harris. What do we got here? Please tell me how I can get into the Patreon. Hey, my man spelled Patreon with the P-A-Y. That's clever. I'll put the link down below. So anybody who's interested in Patreon, you can see it right now. I'm seeing some people comment right now in the Discord, so I'll answer those in a second, in about 10 minutes when we're off this. I'm just going to check if there's any news updates on Fantasy Labs. Suns and Pacers is postponed on Saturday. Suns and Pacers. So is that because of the Suns? Because, yeah, the Pacers are still in tonight. I just want to make sure of that. So, yeah. The news that we're waiting on is like Gary Harris is questionable. Everybody else seems to be good. Hayward seems to be good. DeRozan seems to be good. All these guys for Philly seem to be returning tonight. So, you're just waiting on lineup news at this point. What is Miami's lineup? Is it different? What is Houston going to do with their lineup tonight? Is Cousins going to be in it? Is Sterling Brown going to be in it? And then Gary Harris really just changes some stuff for Monty Morris and PJ Dozier, but that's not much. Great content, man. Do you like Jokic as a spend up, or do you think it's best to spend up in the 9K range tonight? Schmack me with that knowledge. Yeah, I like Jokic as a spend up. Yeah, I mean, I think Christian Wood and Jokic should be your cash builds tonight. I think that's where you should be starting your cash lineups. In NBA, you can make your beginning of your cash lineup the beginning of your GPP lineup and get different in one spot. I think getting different in the mid-range tonight makes a lot of sense. So playing the guys. So Andrew Salpierto, last name Sal as well, like that, the start of that. I just put the link for Patreon. You just go to patreon.com/Sal_Vetri_. You click that link and you can go over to Patreon. You can check it out. You can see if you like anything over there. You can see if you want to sign up, get smacked around with even more knowledge and tools. Next week, we'll be adding MMA projections, rankings, and ownership because we'll be having now a Thursday MMA show. So be sure to tune into that. I will not be hosting that, but we'll have another guest that we posted on Twitter who will be. So pretty cool to see that. Excited to see that as well. Seeing some people send me the screenshots of them saying that they're subscribed with the notification bell on, so I appreciate that too. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Thank you to all those people doing that. Yeah, so be sure, just take a screenshot right now. If you're not already hitting the notification bell, just hit that notification bell, tap it, send me a screenshot, and just tag me at Sal Vetri DFS on Twitter, and I'll put your name in this Excel file. I got to add Mr. Drift TZII. His @ is actually BTC X Proficiency. I have to add him to that, and then I'll start to I'll change my let me change my notification settings so that I can actually get notifications from people I don't follow, because that will help out. So people you don't follow and people who have. So I'll take all this stuff off for who I can get notifications from, and we shall go from there. I'll leave that off for a couple of days, and then we'll get into other stuff. Cool. PJ Washington, I think PJ Washington, yeah, like those types of guys. The slate, I think, is going to be one in the mid-range. Everybody knows the pay-up options, unless Steph Curry, and he's even going to be owned. He's going to be just as owned as like Lillard. So the slate, everybody knows the cheap options, and if you don't, ask a question, we'll answer. So I think that the slate is going to be one in that 5 and 6K range. You're going to have to play one or two of those guys to balance out your lineup. Is it Draymond Green night? Is it PJ Washington night? Is it Kelly Oubre night? Is it Shake Milton? I personally like Shake Milton and Draymond Green in that range, but I'm going to be playing around. Keldon Johnson's in play. Now with DeMar DeRozan back, I'm going to get off of Lonnie Walker, but Keldon Johnson's still in play there. Would you rather go Bouchard or PJ today? Factoring in positions, I'll go PJ Washington. I have Bouchard as the better super draft play, so I'll go with him there. I have Bouchard as the better overall play, I think, today, but factoring in positions, just because I don't want to prioritize Bouchard as a center, because there's so many other centers. I have Bouchard for 33.47 points. He's going to grade out as a much better play than PJ Washington for me, but he's also going to be more expensive. Actually, no, he's $200 more. Yeah, I actually have PJ Washington better. I didn't think that. Is that actually right? Let me see. Yeah, actually, I have PJ Washington ranked right now as my 27 overall play and Bouchard my 29. So I actually like to see that because Washington will probably be lower owned and you get more positionality out of him. Is tonight stars and scrubs? 100%, yes. If Cousins start, does that bring you off of Jokic a lot? More so off of Jokic a little bit. Yeah, but I still want pure points upside, right? We got all the value in the world in this slate. So Cousins starting, yeah, he might start to project out for like upper 30s in fantasy points in some spots. That looks pretty damn good. But you already have a guy in his team in Christian Wood that is going to project for 50 plus. And Jokic has a ceiling. Cousins has that 50-point ceiling, though. So, yeah, if Cousins starts, I'll have less Jokic than I would if he didn't start. So, yes, to answer your question. Pick one, Lillard, Simmons, or Brogdon? Lillard. No Aldridge tonight? Not for me. Jokic and Tate or Sabonis and Nurkic? Jokic and Tate as of right now. Could you go 4 Rockets and just fade the Heat, or do you go 2 of each? I would prefer to go 4 Rockets and fade the Heat because the Rockets are not appropriately priced, right? They're not, and the Heat are at least trying to become appropriately priced for the guys that they have out. They're still cheap, but yeah, I would rather go 4 Rockets than split it 2 and 2. Single entry GPP, what's your number one play? Christian Wood probably right now. Aldridge in play with DeRozan back, GPP or cash. I don't want him in either, no. But who will pass the ball to Wood? I mean, Wood's just going to go coast to coast the whole game and score 45 real-life points. I know this doesn't have much to do with the slate, but can you talk a little bit about your thoughts on the trade yesterday, like how it will impact the teams fantasy-wise? I mean, fantasy-wise, like season-long, I don't really pay too much attention for that, so I don't have much advice for you there. I don't really care too much about season-long. I mean, if you're talking about DFS, yeah, I mean, these guys are going to be slightly becoming appropriately priced. I think Harden's fine. Harden does not really change. The person who's going to get hit the most is Kyrie Irving. He's an off-ball player for a lot of the time. You saw that when he was with LeBron. I think that Harden's fine where he went. I don't think it really affects KD all that much. I think that Caris LeVert going to Indy might be the winner of that entire trade. They basically got to dump off Victor Oladipo, who had a massive injury that like has been proven to shorten your lifespan of your career for most people. And they got like they basically got the younger and injury-free Caris LeVert, right? And basically the same type of player. So I think that looks great for Caris LeVert in Indy. I think that kind of gives him a similar role, though, to what he had in Boston with Brogdon out there in Sabonis. Victor Oladipo going to Houston, yeah. I mean, takes up ownership. I think the biggest win there is John Wall on that team. So, yeah. And then the Cavs got, they got Jared Allen, so they got a bunch of bigs. So who really cares? NHL stream? Not for me. I don't have any NHL content to provide. Sadly, I do not. Mac is playing point guard. What you mean? Mac Jones, you think is going to start a point guard tonight? That would change some things up. Is that confirmed, or are you just saying that? He's a shooting guard, right? Position-wise, but yeah, that would change some things up if that ended up being the case. I don't think that's going to happen, though. Nurkic, too many centers. What's your favorite? Christian Wood, Jokic, and Embiid. And then after that, it would be, if Cousins starts, Cousins would probably go above Embiid for me. So, yeah, I think Nurkic is in that range, but he's just so goddamn cheap. What do you think about Isaiah Joe tonight? Zero interest. I gave Isaiah Joe 4 minutes of play tonight, I think. I project. Let's look at his minutes. I believe I projected Isaiah Joe for 4 minutes of play, but we'll double check. Yep, 4 minutes of play for Isaiah Joe. Tobias Harris is back, right? And Ben Simmons being back is the big one. Sterling Brown or Ben McLemore? Whoever starts. So I think only one of those guys will start. So whoever starts out of them. Sal, Jokic and Draymond or Embiid and Siakam? Embiid and Siakam. Jokic triple-double tonight? Sure. Sal, you think people are going to be off of LaMelo after his last game? Yeah, people will be off of LaMelo for sure. He's just in a weird price range tonight. So LaMelo has triple-double upside to score 60-plus any night, and LaMelo will probably be like 10% owned, if not lower than that tonight. So, yeah, I think LaMelo is an interesting GPP play. Really tough to want to prioritize him, though. Danny Green night again? Nah, not for me. A lot of questions. I appreciate it. How many people are in here right now? What we got in here? We got 622 people. Hey, you all rock. It's 4:55. We've been live for about an hour and 2 minutes. Yo, hit that like and subscribe. I appreciate that. If you're not already a sponsor or checking out the sponsor of the show, Super Jeff, if you're not already a sponsor, hit up vetrimedia19@gmail.com. But yeah, if you're not signed up for Super Draft, check it out. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. Reach out to me in the Discord, whatever it might be, if you have questions on that. My name's Sal. Get you a free money bonus up to $8,000 Rooskies. Bobby Boucher is good. Yes, he is. Bobby Boucher. Hit 3.5K on Tuesday on a single game. Let's go, Brandon. My man, that's a bankroll booster for you. Searched for a reliable source through Google and had to find you through the weeds. Been on board for about a week. Great work, Sal. My man, Michael, what's up? Thank you, man. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, the whole goal, hit the notification bell. People watching these live streams, just creating more content in the live stream space as well. It's easier to get those videos out. You don't have to edit them. We just get noticed more, right? Ideally, at some point this year, I know 4 o'clock is not the most ideal time on the East Coast for these live streams to be happening, but it makes sense in this industry. You got sites like Awesemo that are going to be going live. A bunch of other sites. Awesemo, obviously the heavy hitter, they do great work over there, but they're going to be building up a pretty big audience, right? They have the 5 o'clock, that 6 o'clock hour window. So if I went live during that, we probably get less people than right now. So the goal would be to hit like 1,000. Somebody says, "How much you worth?" What does "how much you worth" mean? For sponsors, it depends. How many videos do you want? What type of videos? What time slots? What sport? It'll depend. It'll depend on the company that you are. If I know that you're a startup company versus a company with a lot of capital, all that depends. Always great info, Sal. Thanks for all the hard work you put in. Thank you. I appreciate you. You think the Rockets get blown out? No, I don't. You should so do NBA player props. I don't have the time, my man. I wish I could. I would like to add other creators to the channel. We have Dylan Bird. If he wants to be doing a player prop video, I can probably reach back out to him. I would like to do a daily NBA betting video that goes out on the channel. That's just like quick 20, 30 minutes. Maybe I reach out to my friends somewhat seriously, saying I'll buy them 2 of these Joe Rogan mics with my stimulus check. If we get $1,400, I'll buy them the whole setup. They're like $800 each if they actually can put together a show. But we have a guy going to be doing NBA stuff. I'm very excited about that. He's going to be starting next Thursday. We have Dylan doing the Friday NFL player props. That'll come out tomorrow afternoon for one of the slates probably, maybe even the whole 4-game slate. He just sent me a text. I'll have to answer him. Yeah, I would like to be putting more content out on this channel. I'm only a one-man band. I want to continue to do NBA and golf and NFL, so I don't have much bandwidth. I want MMA on there. I want to continue to have golf. We can even have a golf betting show if I could find somebody in the industry who wants to be putting that on the channel. So, yeah, there's a lot of interesting things that could be done, and, yeah. Just got to find the right creators. There's a lot of creators out there, a lot of them that are getting their feet wet, starting up, that they're going to do well. I just want to find people that are in the position right now, setup-wise, nice lighting, nice cameras, know what they're talking about, comfortable, have a personality, good mics, right? That type of stuff. And I think we found one for MMA. We definitely found one in Dylan for the props. And maybe golf betting is one, because I do the golf DFS show. Doing a betting show, that could be one where I can find a guest for, or maybe even do a collab with people each week. Just getting more content out for the peeps. That's the goal. There's only one of me, so trying to multiply me as much as possible these days. Smash that like, says Alexander. You the man, you the man, you the man. Would you prefer ball or hero in a single entry? Hero. Fella, I am from Greece, watching your NBA videos. I love fucking that. I love that, my man. Sup, Salvi? I'm a fan. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. Wood sucks without someone cheating shots for him. Oh, creating shots. I thought you said cheating. I don't think that's true, personally. Best, more expensive power forward play. Is Christian Wood still power forward eligible? It's him. If not, then it's going to be Mr. Siakam for me. Sal, Brian Horn here in Applewood, Minnesota. Come down here to Victoria's for the Packers game, boss. Drink on us. You won me some good money this year. My man, Brian. I said Minnesota. You said Wisconsin. Yeah, man, I would love to. I'm going to be going home. I have to attend to some personal matters this weekend, but yeah, I might take you up on that offer when the games are out. How far is that from Green Bay? I might take you up on that offer. If you reach out to me on Twitter or something, probably next year, sadly, when the fans can actually start coming back down. But believe it or not, I've never been to Lambeau Field. I'll be in a position next year to be able to afford tickets, but I'm 2 years out of college, so I never really had the funds to pay for a $1,000 plus trip to go to a Packers game, if not more than that with the flight. Hey Sal, no more special guests. Yeah, special guests just come on when I got friends over, so I make them pop in and say something, but no friends over right now. Sadly. Maxie or Milton? Milton. Any need for a social media manager? Says Timeout Sports Podcast. There's definitely a need. There's always a need to enhance your social media stuff, but I don't know. Probably not. I don't have like a designated budget for that. I mean, I'm sure that there's a reason to be putting out high quality videos like onto social media, but other than that, a lot of the stuff that I do, I don't really need, right? Best small forward on DraftKings. It's tough. $2 donation from Colorado Kane. Let me pull up DraftKings just so we can go through the actual small forward position so I know who is small forward and like shooting guard, small forward, and power forward eligible. But we can get into it right now. Let me help you out. Appreciate the super chat. Noel Buchanan, best golf DFS guy going today. Yeah, I don't know who that is. But I would argue that I don't know who that is. So since I don't know who that is, I would argue that guys like Rick Gaiman and Pat Mayo and the Osmo guys are strong, but I can't comment because I don't know who that is. Small forward for the super chat for Mr. Colorado Kane. We'll prioritize that super chat. Yeah, so it's tough. Like, I don't want to be playing Ben Simmons or Tobias Harris. I don't really have any. There's no Butler today, right? I don't really have interest in DeMar DeRozan, although he's not a terrible play, DeRozan. He'll be somebody who's low on tonight. He's been somebody that, he's coming off of an injury, so we'll see what happens there. Or actually, it's a personal matter, so it's not even an injury. So he could still project out for like 35 minutes tonight. There's no Oladipo, no Michael Porter. So you're kind of automatically stuck in this range where you have Danny Green priced up, no interest. I think that Keldon Johnson looks pretty appealing. More times than not, you're probably going to punt the position tonight. You're going to be punting tonight with either Miami guys, mainly Andre Iguodala, I think is the only small forward value there. But you're going to be punting with the Houston guys, right? So David Nwaba and Sterling Brown, unless you get Kenny Martin Jr. starting, which I don't think that's going to happen. So Sterling Brown and David Nwaba are the small forward best plays tonight. That's the issue. There's just no real options. Keldon Johnson would be probably a next favorite. There's a ceiling on OG Anunoby, but I'm not really interested there. The Charlotte guys aren't that great. Kelly Oubre, I'd rather play Draymond Green from that team. So yeah, hopefully that helps. There's really nobody from Indiana or Portland. So small forward is tough, but you get the really extreme value. So I would put those guys in my small forward spots, right? So just take out the terrible small forward position and put yourself a Sterling Brown or David Nwaba. Nwaba's probably going to start. If Sterling Brown starts, they're basically coin flips. I think Sterling Brown would be my more preferred option, but they're basically coin flips. So those two guys, if you're looking for a mid-range option, I think that Keldon Johnson and then probably OG Anunoby after that would be my primary options there. Yo, Pascal Siakam or Dame tonight? I'll go Damian Lillard. Sal, what's up? Dollar Ruskies, what's up, Dan? How you doing? Can you play Max Struss today? I don't think so. Could Miami get blown out with pretty much all of Philly being back? Yeah, they could. There's no doubt about it. Now that Tobias Harris is back, Shake Milton's back. They're basically only missing at this point. Tobias Harris is back, right? I think Korkmaz is back. They're only missing, I think, Seth Curry, who might have been the first guy that got COVID in the first place, which is interesting. Malnati crushing it. Love it. But to finish up Timeout Sports Podcast, any need for a social media manager, I understand the importance of social media. I understand I think it's more important if you're running ads. Otherwise, no. Like I don't think there's a need for it for me personally right now. Like it's very easy for me to schedule out a couple of tweets a day for the content. And then other than that, I think Instagram is in my opinion 2-3 years ago, 5 years ago, great. I think now it's kind of dead. It's kind of where Facebook was for organic reach like a year or two ago. Again, if you're running ads, Instagram stories are great. Facebook's still fantastic. Twitter platform still sucks. Snapchat ads probably still fine. But I'm not running ads for anything right now. Maybe down the road I could, but I don't really have interest in running ads at this point. I know how important and powerful that they are. Trust me, I've done it. I've ran Facebook ads before in the past for other companies as clients of mine in my final year in college, but I don't really want to be doing it right now, and I don't need to. Where's a good place on the internet to find out what players are playing and what players are not? Paul, Fantasy Labs NBA on Twitter. That's your best spot. They update basically the second news drops at the very latest a minute. They update for every lineup and every player. Hey, Sal, what's your favorite hangout in New York? I'm not sure. In the city, I haven't been there enough to really know specific places. Alrighty. We've been live for a little over now, so I appreciate that. I'll answer any of the final questions that we have in here. Sal, what's the best and most unique punt you've ever hit on? This is actually a good one. It's probably Lou Williams. Lou Williams was 0.8% owned about 2.5 years ago, and that was like maybe that was like 3.5 years ago at this point. That was like my first big win. We finished, I think, 5th place, and if the game would have went to overtime, Jared Bayless rimmed out a buzzer beater for Minnesota. If it went to overtime, I was in a bar with my girlfriend and my friends, and I was shaking. If the game would have went to overtime, I would have won the $100,000 in NBA that night. But that was when I still played like these 150 maxes 3.5 years ago before just trying to, or not even the big contest, I should say, like the 100K to first, because I still play 150s. But we won a good amount that night. We finished like 3rd or 4th for only like $3,000 in the big tournament, but we ended up winning like 8 or 9K, which was the most I ever won at that point in NBA DFS. It was like 3.5 years ago. And I had Lou Williams at 0.8% on. 0.8% on Lou Williams, went out for a triple-double, like a 30-point triple-double. It was beautiful. Thoughts on Aaron Holiday? No interest. No interest in Holiday tonight. TJ McConnell's back. 0% interest in chasing Aaron Holiday's one good game a year that he gets when, and now guys are healthy and back. How many Rockets would you play in one single entry lineup? 3 to 4. 3 to 4 tonight, depending on the starters, 3 to 4. Yes, sir. On the 555 with 2.1K to first, paid 2K. Love that, Brandon. Very nice. Justin Holiday for me. I prefer Justin Holiday to Aaron, but don't really prioritize either. Would Achua be your priority on the Heat? And would you prefer Achua or Tate tonight? I prefer Tate. Achua would be my priority on the Heat. Basically, in lock priorities, very close to all those guys. But he would be the guy I like the most there. Lived in Raleigh for about a year. Loved it. If I'm ever back in the city, let's do dinner at Angus Barn. Sounds good. Yeah, I've heard the place is good. Sal, Appleton is 20 miles south of Green Bay. We got you on the drinks at Victoria's Boss. Best to your family and go Packers. Packers 38, Rams 20. Love that. Love that prediction. You're saying way over the over then. Yeah, I was seeing stats at the second half of the season. The Packers defense has actually been better. Obviously, their opponents they face are different. Packers actually had a pretty easy schedule second half of the season, but relatively easy. I think they played the Colts, and then they had that one game towards the end against like the Titans, right? In their elements. But yeah, the Packers defense second half of the season, I believe it was ranked like 6 spots higher in a lot of different metrics, pressure rates, the overall points per game allowed, all these different things. I still think the Rams are a better overall defense, more talent there, but just interesting to see. The Rams had a pretty strong start to the year on defense, and just like their offense kind of faded down the second half. I'll get at you on Facebook. Sounds good. Sal, are you still chasing the Millie contest or not? I haven't chased the Millie contest I've chased like 150 max. I've only done one this year. I've only won 50 max one. I have no interest in the Millie Maker. I usually put my main single entry lineup in it. Some nights I don't care too much, but some nights I have FOMO and I'm like, if I just think about FOMO, I do. But no, the Millie Maker contest, the one that have 50,000 people in them, they're terrible contests. They're the exact way that you hit the deposit button again. All right, everybody, thank you. I appreciate you all tuning in. Best of luck. Slate starts in a couple hours. Peace out, all of you. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Send me a screenshot on Twitter if you indeed want to try and get entered into a raffle to win the merch to show that you are or have that notification bell hit on the channel. I saw a bunch of people are showing me right now. A couple of people are showing that they got the notification bell hit. Mitch did it, but it says he just subscribed. It doesn't say it's that notification bell hit, so be sure to hit that notification bell. But yeah, I appreciate it. If the little bell icon is hit, that lets me know that you are notified to the channel. So thank you. Appreciate it. I'll be going through all those over the next week and awarding a couple people some free merch. Thank you, everybody. Peace out. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all in the next one.